to have Miriam Yerushalmi speaking tonight. Miriam spoke many times before at our Rosh Chodesh events, and this one is really fits you so well because of all her healing work she does for so many people. So we're really happy to have you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone. It's so amazing to be back. Actually, I feel like this event is just for me, like a reunion party, because I was actually 2.5 months in Israel almost. Whole story on the airplane, oh my goodness. So I'm very touched to be alive here today and that I landed safely. In like mid-air, I don't know, it was like 2 hours into flight. There was like a recording of a woman saying, so we're going to head back because technical difficulties. So we're in the plane not knowing what was happening. And thank God, like my emunah had to really kick in. And, you know, then all of a sudden I was trying my best to just learn, keep my mind busy, not to like think about what's happening. And as we're landing, we see, you know, ambulances and fire trucks and you know, they're saying the engine is something's wrong with the engine, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I actually felt like 9/11 a little bit, like not knowing. So I really feel re-inspired by I feel like I have to say, you know, Beychok Gomel from such a experience. But being in Israel was really amazing, and at the same time challenging with all the things that were happening there and the attacks, and a lot of people also hearing different people in the hospital and being sick, and I just said, oh my gosh, Hashem, you know, please help anyone and everyone that needs a refuah, especially this month, the month of Iyar. Ani Hashem Rafoecha, that Hashem is our healer. And as Rabbi Ginsburg teaches in his book, that really the beginning point of healing is rectifying the principle of our mouth. And I know you're all eating delicious food. I'm not looking at your plate. It's not about any kind of judgment or anything. I just went through my own journeys of health and happiness. And I'm here today just to share with you, you know, some basics that could maybe really help you. And even no matter what age you start, that you can add 20 more good years of your life if you just hopefully use some of the tips that I will be sharing here. We're going to talk about the difficulties of really implementing what you may already know. So I have to say that in 2 years, different years of my life, I noticed a very interesting challenge. It happened when I had my first baby, Baruch Hashem, and it happened when I had my first grandson, and the same phenomena was happening. And I realized that how difficult it was. For some strange reason, you know, I was thinking my metabolism was slowing down, but that I was seemingly eating the same, but seemingly not able to keep, you know, fit and strong and healthy, both body and both emotion. And so I have to say that when the first time it happened, like I tried what everyone at those years were saying to us. They were saying 0 fat. They were saying, you know, not too much beef, and you should have more carbs and more whole wheat. And I happened to be a vegetarian at the time, thinking that was like a spiritual route at the time. So I, you know, was thinking I'm doing like a real service to my body. But as I was starting to do that, I noticed I was more sickly. I noticed I was gaining weight, and no matter how much I was exercising, no matter how much I was, you know, cutting down the fats and cutting down all the things that they were suggesting. During that time, when you're so busy with the baby, you don't have time to eat properly. You know, you're sometimes, you know, cutting corners, and you're sometimes rushed and not eating, the full meals that you should be eating, and fast forward, the same thing started happening to me when I was a grandma, because I was full-time helping, not sleeping so much, and not eating right, skipping meals, and again, I found, maybe, my metabolism is slowing down, because maybe, my age. So, happens to be, there was a book called Turn Up the Heat, and Dr. Phillips was actually talking about some key points of how important it is not to skip meals. Now, I know there are many varying opinions. You'll read one book, and oh my goodness, it's telling you the opposite. You'll read another book, so opposite, and it's so convincing. Oh my gosh, all the research and quotes and all the testimonials. So, first of all, you have to be your own detective. You have to do your own experiment with a modality that works for you. So even some of the things I'm going to share is for all of us, but you're going to have to try out some of your own experiments to see what makes you feel more with vitality. What makes you feel less groggy? I'll always remember this, and I'll never tire saying this story. I happened to be in the Dead Sea, and I went for the plate of salad, because I'm always do what the Rambam says, to eat light foods first, and then I was going to go. But this woman happens to see that I just had salad, so she goes to me and she says, "Don't you know there's other things out there?" And I'm like, oh, thank you, I know. But then I was thinking, we're at the Dead Sea, and I wanted to tell her, I'm very careful how I eat after years of being sick, after years of being tired, because I don't want to feel dead, because here we're at the Dead Sea. And actually there's a Pirkei Avot that says that, there's spiritual enzymes that is released from the food when you say Dvar Torah at the table. So I was thinking, because they say it's like a dead sacrifice, because when you eat, you don't say a bracha before, you don't say a bracha after, and you don't really experience the spiritual moment of nourishing your body mindfully, then it's into a dead sacrifice, because you lose the spiritual potential energy of the food, well, part of it, and so it's into a dead sacrifice. Then soon after, I'm in shul, and some lady actually looks at me, because those of you who know I'm in shul, I like clapping, and I'm I really love, thank God for the mechitza, I really love the nigunim, and I'm really feeling it. And she's like, "What do you eat, that makes you so lively in the morning?" And again, I'm stopping and I'm thinking, actually, lately I've been not spending money on vitamins, and I have been traveling, I haven't been on top of the ball. And I was thinking, actually, it's what I don't eat. And let me explain. Rambam actually says that the first most important thing, and he guarantees this bill of health, under eating. Now, you can eat the same amount of calories throughout the day, but the meal in itself should not cause you to overstuff your stomach so that there's no room for the enzymes to digest your food. And so what happens when it doesn't digest the food? It becomes toxic, because it's fermenting, it's becoming acidic, and then that actually has nowhere so much to go, so then it turns into fat. So that's number one. Rambam says number two is exercise. Get your flow going. Get your blood circulating. Get your body moving. And many of us are very busy, so I really recommend, when you're about to fix your Shabbos table, highly recommend Thursday night, jump with your dishes. Swing your arms extra. Do what you can wherever you can to do things with more livelihood and more effort in moving your body. Number two is exercise. Now, guess what? We all know number 3 is what you eat. So then we can a little less panic sometimes, like if it's not the perfect food or it's not the perfect, according to all the research that's so opposite. So my father-in-law, who I visited in his dying days in the hospital, I heard from his mouth, and he had amazing research done, and he had done surgeries, and he wrote books, and he told me in these 3 same exact order of what he saw in his 60 years of practice, that it really was a little under eating that is the key to longevity. And he also said the second was exercise. And he thought it wasn't really so much as important what you ate compared to those 2. Now, listen, today's food is not the same like last generation's food. There is a big difference of the wheat that was made today and the wheat that was made back then. They have been modifying the production in the ground and production of making the agricultural profit from changing. It's called the GMO. They're modifying what it used to be so that the growth would speed up so they can have more profit faster from making more. So a lot of people, whether you're celiac or not gluten-free, a very important factor is to do a little more research and see on yourself when you eat X amount of too much what I call fake carbs, and how it affects you. I mean, there's a book called Wheat Grain and Wheat Belly and all these books that are showing the research of how it's affecting people, not only for the moment of feeling sleepy and tired, but long-term effects of what it does to your brain as well as your waistline and as well as your heart. So I always say to people, aren't we sick and tired of being sick and tired? Aren't we tired of being sick and tired? And aren't we sick and tired of every 5 minutes hearing on some WhatsApp or some cousin or some relative that they're, please pray for the refuah. So yes, Hashem is miraculous. And yes, challah and saying refuahs. But yes, to a little extra effort to take control of our health bill. Now, I have to say that when you undereat, there is what's called the NRF2. And what's so exciting about this is that it is free. And you save money by the $2.50 unbelievable price of a bell pepper. I mean, I went shopping today after 2.5 months because I was in Israel and I didn't really pay attention there. But all of a sudden I was seeing $7 for raspberries, or like crazy amount of prices for all these antioxidant foods. So the NRF2 actually gets activated when we a little undereat.
What is NRF?
It's a chemical that's like an anti-inflammation, it's anti-cancerous, it's anti-every thing you want to have that you also get from broccoli and from strawberries and blueberries and all those very expensive foods. So save money on your food bill. Eat just a little less at the meal. Again, you can eat the same amount of calories. Some people tell me, I just don't know. I barely eat. I don't eat all day. And then, they eat so much at one meal and it's too much for their body to digest it. Now, once it doesn't digest properly, as we said before, it goes on the vagus pipeline in the back of you from your gut, that is the putrid food that didn't digest, and then it goes to your brain. And that's why a person all of a sudden feels like they can't concentrate. And that's why all of a sudden they feel so tired, because there's so much extra energy to break down the food. Now, Donna Gates, from her book is called Body Ecology. I highly recommend this for healing. It really saved my life. because she explains that when especially you're not well, diminish your food intake because you want to minimize the excess energy that needs to be used to break down the food. So if you break down your temptation and realize that under eating, especially when you're sick, allowing for the extra energy to be used to help you self-heal. Let me tell you my story. 5.5 years and many other 5.5 years of many years of miserable, challenging, diseases that they said, oh, it's not curable. You have to take this for the rest of your life. So I had Hashimoto's, I had H. pylori, and I went from after all the traditional type of, I'm not against traditional, but sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands when it especially is not helping you. And by miracle, my friend happened to send me Donna Gates' book, and she didn't know that I was sick. And in fact, I didn't tell almost anybody, not even my family members, because I didn't want people to worry about me, and I just kept it, I prayed to Hashem. Anyway, so when I heard about this theory that I need to detox and eat a little less, then all of a sudden, within 1 week of doing this little change, which I'm going to hopefully share more of, it was gone. And a month later, actually, when I took the blood test, they couldn't believe that my Hashimoto's was gone, and everything else that I was suffering was gone. In fact, for many years, every year I would take my mother to this, Zava, you remember. She actually went with me, my aunt. I would take my mother to this place because I saw how much it was helping me. And she would go from not being able to lift her leg in the wheelchair, to being able to walk, and everyone there could see the transformation. And my son also was like, wow. I took my children there because I'm very into proactive, doing what we can to take the time to really self-nourish ourselves. Now, there's many reasons why people have a hard time. They know they want to, have better today, and they want to have a better tomorrow, even with all the knowledge and all the books that they read. Me, for many years, until I realized the challenge, and I had to really understand how to know the enemy, and lechem comes from milchama, know the enemy, and know how to tackle the enemy. So let me explain part of the enemy. The enemy is that in food, there are spiritual sparks that our body is attracted to. Now, of course, it's important, because if we didn't have this urge and attraction to food, we wouldn't go be eating. For a lot of us who are so busy with children and going and working, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. And then we're forced to, right? But there are spiritual sparks in the food that we're attracted to. And especially people who are pleasure-seeking personalities that have a little more water element, because Chassidus teaches us we have fire, water, air, and earth, and we've done classes on that, but we're focused on the water element. People who are born with more water in their makeup of their soul, just like Abraham had a lot of water element. He was chesed, he was love of Hashem. So people who have that, they're more prone to love pleasure. Some people love food. Some people love alcohol and all kinds of addictions. Some people love clothes. Us women, what can we say? But so we're pleasure-seeking personalities. These things give us pleasure. Now, scientifically, if you look at what's out there in the world, they will say to you that when you look at that cookie, like that Pavlovian salivating dog, okay, you're not a dog, but it's happening. You're feeling the palpitation and the desire. chemically, even before you taste it, your brain is already desiring the chemical reaction of dopamine, and happy chemicals get ignited waiting for that food. So you're like physiologically a little challenged there, because you're spiritually challenged because there's sparks in that food, and you want to elevate those sparks. Yeah, we'll try, But between the physical and the spiritual challenge of seeing that food, we got a war going on, and we got to know the enemy. So Hasidus teaches us the more we get sparks from prayer, from our spiritual practices, the more we get spiritual sparks from learning, the more we get spiritual sparks from volunteering, helping, bonding, uniting with other women, we get these sparks. So then we're not as bereft of these sparks, so we won't be as tempted from the sparks in the food. Also, they've done studies that when you pray, when you learn, when you volunteer, that actually the people who volunteer are the healthiest, like people who are active in community and they're with people and they're married. It's really good for your brain. It's really good because you get these chemical like spurts of happy chemicals, which makes your blood healthy, which makes your circulation healthy. So this is actually really, now we can understand why it's so challenging. Now there's another challenge, which is emotional eating. I've had a hard day. I can't manage. I'm really feel like I deserve a treat after everything I went through, or laziness, or lack of self-care because you don't believe that you deserve the care. Like everyone else is more important. You have to run and help with this and run that. And there's not like the balance between kindness to the other and kindness to yourself. So emotional eating, which actually I'll show you some of the books. I have this one, which is Rainbow Fun Foods for Young Kids. And this is my new book, which finally came out. I couldn't really celebrate because I left for Israel. But this is much of what we're talking about here is in this book for children. And I have a boys version also called Yehuda Gets Fit. And it's the mostly the same information, but this has a little bit more about body image and emotional eating that a young girl may have more than. But anyway, so back to the emotional eating. We have to realize that our body's a Beit HaMikdash, Me'at. And eating is a spiritual service to nourish our body, but it actually also nourishes our soul. And I recently read, and I think it was, Lukatei Torah, the Alter Rebbe actually says that nourishing your body nourishes and elevates Hashem. So it's not a simple thing when you're in front of food. It's a real spiritual experience. And the more we're mindful about it, the more we realize we wouldn't throw, garbage in the Beit HaMikdash. This is the Beit HaMikdash, the house of our soul. But it also even elevates Hashem. And if you look at the word refuah, it's or peh. Rearrange the letters. The light comes into the world through your mouth. Remember the principle of rectifying the way we eat and the way we speak? When we do that, the light of healing comes and brings refuah, because we're introducing an even higher level of kedusha while we're eating. So, tackling the emotional aspect, just like the spiritual, we can get in the habit of getting emotionally charged by other means. First of all, when you exercise, you do get endorphins, and it does give you a runner's high, or whatever, as they say. And when you do do dancing with the most exciting music, oh my gosh, it really changes your mood. I remember learning in Basi Lagani how it explains that, just like you go like this and you're jumping, like your head goes from here to there. When you jump and dance at these weddings, right, soon by all of our daughters and sons who need it, that there's a mental jump. Your chachma, your spiritual wisdom, and research is showing it that you're more creative when you exercise, and you tap into some greater mind and longevity of your mind too by doing some exercise. It's crazy, the research. That's amazing, proving everything that we're seeing in the deep teachings of the Torah. So, which reminds me of Rabbi Rashab in Kuntrus Avodah. He actually says that when you refine the way you eat, it actually refines your thought processes. How much of it has had OCD thinking, obsessive and worrying, and it's nonstop? And you're like, leave me alone already. You know it's not based on reality and it's too much already, but it still creeps in. Refining the way you eat refines your thought processes. He says that alien thoughts will stop to plague you. And then he says, once your thoughts are refined because of your refining the way you eat, then your emotions get refined, which means you don't have as easily a temptation to emotionally eat because the emotion now is refined. Wow. Like, what a remedy. What a key to refuah of our mind, a refuah to our emotions, to a refuah of our body. Possibly 20 more good years of life just making a little change, a little effort, a little more effort. So, remember we talked about under-eating? And remember we talked about my story of not eating because no time. And so Dr. Philip, again in the book Turn Up the Heat, he actually says too much under-eating is really not good for you. It's almost like cannibalism. It starts to eat up. Now again, there's many opinions and this might not work for you. I know many people, I do intermittent fasting. It's amazing. One opinion that really helped me. It said that the reason why when you skip meals, and he says you should eat within 2 to 4 hours, like that the body goes into a scarce mode. Oh my gosh, no food. Is it a famine? Take this carb and turn it into a fat. Take this, turn it into a fat, because I don't know if there's going to be food. So that's why when you skip meals, and many years people telling me, and many years I don't know if I believe them. I'm like, come on, you must be sneaky, or like, really? But then it happened to me twice. And then it happened to me twice that I added the proper meals. I wasn't skipping meals, and my body wasn't in starvation mode, and started gaining the weight. And it's not about weight. It's about the weight inside of you. Because when you have fat in your arteries, God forbid, or fat in areas that are dangerous. Because, there's many skinny pickle people out there, and they have 4-stage arteriosclerosis, and I know people skinny like that, and heart attacks, because it's what's inside that's really the key point here to keep us healthy and strong. Another point is, since we're 70% water, Dr. Phillips says that you need to drink water. That water helps the velocity and all of the food getting to all the places, not after you eat, before you eat. And that if not, because of the need of the water for this metabolism to go efficiently, then again, if you don't drink enough water, the body gets scared And so it starts to put insulation, he says. Like, you put insulation in, oh, you guys are here from California, you don't do that. But in New York and further places, maybe in Canada, oh my gosh. So it starts to create fat as insulation so the body heat won't go leave. Because you need to have a certain amount of heat. That's why he calls the book, Turn Up the Heat. Because you need the heat in your body at a certain temperature. And the burning of the food creates that heat. And when you don't have enough food, again, undereat in one meal. Try not to skip meals. Try to drink before you eat. Drinking before you eat is very important. Why? Because many times people don't know that the sensation of hunger is the same sensation of thirst. So you might be really dehydrated and not really hungry. And you might really need the water so that the food you're about to eat won't turn into fat like that. So, I can really say that it's been really a journey, and my tips of how to now change your bad habits, for whatever reason it was. What we all said, different possible reasons. You love the happy chemicals. You love the spiritual sparks. You got in a bad habit and, of not taking care of yourself, making yourself last. So what you could do is outwit your brain. And this is a critical point of brain training. And you could do just even 1 minute. And it doesn't have to be 20 minutes of, it's just like visualizing the food that is not good for you, especially sugar. Please, my dear soul sisters, we gotta get on the bandwagon and learn about the effects of sugar. I was at a seminar and Dr. Miriam from the place where I was working did a whole seminar saying that the sugar crosses the blood-brain barrier without being processed. Normally food gets processed, but some reason sugar goes whoop to your brain. And then the unprocessed food of sugar then goes to all your organs, unprocessed. It's crazy. So honey and maple syrup and all that kind of other stuff is less. It's a slower process of being digested. There's minerals, there's vitamins, and so it doesn't go so crazy up to your head so fast. But so training your brain to pair the subject matter of the food that's not good for you with a negative image. And I did this because as much as I knew all this, I'd go to a party, oh my gosh, that cake, and I'm a sugar, and I was a sugaraholic, and I would eat it knowing I wouldn't be able to sleep till 4 a.m. People always say, why don't you have the cake with? No, if I eat that, I'm on drugs. Like, it's really like likened to cocaine on your brain. I can't sleep till 4 a.m. That's why I wrote so many books for so many years. And then I would wake up either in the middle of the night as if I had 8 hours of sleep, or I'd wake up too late. But I knew that about it. But I still was in that bad habit. So what I did was I paired my brain to like snakes and scorpions and stuff. I don't want to go more into the negative image. And I made my brain have a negative reaction to the food that was dangerous for me and not doing me justice. Then I would do pairing with good images, the healthy food. And as the Torah says, Ezu Samech Bechelko, the Breslov teach, who is the happy person that's happy? Oh, he's happy with his portion, his lot, but the Breslov say, with the portion of food in your plate. To be happy with the portion of food in your plate. That's the happy person, because they'll have a clearer mind, they'll have energy, they'll have vitality, they'll feel happy and not sluggish and so hard to move. So the idea is to visualize yourself maybe on a beach and you can have whatever image in the beach, no men there, and see yourself running, swimming, like full of vitality, and like, seeing the food, going to sit down on that amazing, beautiful scenery, wherever you are, eat your portion, maybe see yourself eating in front of a king or a holy tzaddik, whatever images you can be fun with, and see yourself being happy with your portion. Then see yourself go out and be jumpy and lively and happy and so that your brain will be trained to be thinking of the consequence of when you choose or when you choose wow. So there's a lot more. I actually wrote a health book for adults. It's actually not here. Like many times people come over can I have this book? I'm like, okay, but then I forget I got it to them. I didn't store up again. But it's on Amazon. All my books are Amazon. And I have many health classes on YouTube and my website called yournewheights.org, which also are the children's brain training classes on eating and adult classes. It's all there. And I really hope that what I shared from my heart of years of experience of suffering and being sick, and it's just you can't even imagine how blessed I feel to be able to stand here and share it with you, and hoping we will be dancing at 120 with a big Yeshua's of refuahs because we were a partner with Hashem to keep us healthy and strong. So I also want to jump right now a little bit, even 10 minutes for all of us to get up. But was there a question?
The name of the book by Donna Gates?
It's called Body Ecology. Yes, and amazing book, really amazing book. So let's all get up. And since I'm on screen here, I might close the screen. But thank you for joining, and I'll be jumping with you at the next event.